Apologies. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier League review show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for today's show. Matchweek 23 certainly has some interesting talking points. Liverpool cruised past the Tractor Boys to get the win. Bournemouth absolutely destroyed Forest at the Vitality Stadium. Arsenal managed to secure a victory despite some controversy, and Man City defeated Chelsea to move up to fourth in the league. So let's begin with the first fixture, and that is Liverpool versus Ipswich Town. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed the performance from Liverpool in this game. In the first half, it wasn't the slow and passive build-up play. It was quick passing across the pitch, and it didn't take us long to break the deadlock. Konate threads the through ball to Szoboszlai. He takes a half turn, drives with the ball, and hits a left-footed strike into the corner. Now, that's what I want to see from Szoboszlai week in, week out. That goal was a pure definition of natural instinct. That's what Szoboszlai is more than capable of doing, and I'm confident he will be able to do it as the season goes on. So great finish from the Hungarian midfielder. The second goal, great cross from Cody Gakpo towards the near post. Mohamed Salah controls it and smashes it into the roof of the net to make it 2-0. And then the third goal, great play from Gravenberch on the right-hand side. He tries to find Szoboszlai, who hits the first-time shot. His shot is parried away by the goalkeeper. But luckily for Liverpool, Gakpo is in the right position to slot it into the empty net to make it 3-0. And in the second half, Liverpool continued their good form. Trent produces a Beckham-esque type of cross from the right-hand side. With pinpoint accuracy, he finds Cody Gakpo, who buries it into the corner with a header. One moment that probably went a bit under the radar was the Enciso high knee challenge on Endo. Now, for me, that could easily have been a red card. That was something out of Jorge Masvidal's book when he destroyed Ben Askren in UFC 239. But back to the game. Ipswich Town managed to grab a consolation goal through Jacob Greaves. Poor defending from Harvey, in my opinion, as he gets pushed out of the way very easily and in the end loses his man in the set piece. But nonetheless, a dominant performance from the Reds, who take all 3 points and remain at the top of the league, just where they belong. Now on to the next fixture. Wolves versus Arsenal. This game has controversy written all over it, but thankfully for Arsenal, they were able to grab the winner in the end. So let's discuss the key moments of the game. Both teams produced chances in the first half, but Havertz probably had the easiest of chances of them all, as he had a pretty much point-blank header from a few yards out, but in the end, he heads it straight at the goalkeeper. Then moments later, the controversy moment took place as Lewis Skelly fouls Matt Doherty from behind. And let's be honest, that challenge was nothing more than a yellow card. We would regard it as a professional foul, and in terms of describing that, is to stop the opposition from producing a counter-attack. So I was totally surprised that Michael Oliver gave a straight red. What makes it worse is that VAR reviewed the incident and still deemed it as a red card. Now, this is the frustrations that we have as football fans. Forget what team you support. This is a huge problem in the game right now. The officials in this league are far too inconsistent, and the level of officiating is very, very poor. None of these referees have played the game at playground level, let alone anywhere near the professional game. What makes it worse is that PGMOL, or as I like to call them, PGLOL, released a statement about their disappointment in everyone's reaction to that incident. I understand that they have to defend the guy who they regard as the best referee. I get it, but maybe in this moment they should just shut their mouths and kept quiet on this one, because you've now added more fuel to the fire, I should say, and added more pressure on yourselves. Because if this continues, it will be probably in the next few weeks, maybe whenever it happens, fans will start to protest in numbers, and actions will need to happen in order to regain the faith of the football fans in this country. Because right now, these moments do happen quite a bit. Whether anything happens remains to be seen. But I'm sure the fans will have a strong stance in some shape or form, whether it's in the near future or in the long term. It will happen at some stage. But aside from all of this, I felt really sorry for Lewis Skelly, who looked absolutely distraught after getting sent off, and for me, was not deserving one bit. Hopefully, Arteta and the squad can sort of put their arms around him and just make sure that he's not affected by that decision, and it shouldn't really affect him going forward, as he did nothing wrong. He made a simple challenge. He was slightly late. The best result or the outcome should have been a yellow card. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Michael Richards, who was on the podcast, The Rest is Football, pretty much stated that it was the worst refereeing decision he's ever seen in the Premier League. I wouldn't say the worst decision, as Luis Diaz's goal against Tottenham springs to my mind, because that was quite shambolic. But I do agree, it's definitely up there. But back to the game, Arsenal did eventually get the only and winning goal in the 74th minute, as Calafiori hits a half volley into the bottom corner and runs around the pitch in jubilation, and rightly so. A huge win for Arsenal, who keep the hunt going for top spot. They are now 6 points behind, but Liverpool still have a game in hand. On to the next fixture. This is not the fixture I wanted to show you. This is the fixture. Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Wow, wow, wow. That was my reaction when I saw the scoreline. Arne Slot will be analysing this game to muster up a future game plan to beat Forest whenever he faces them in the future. But what a sensational win for the Cherries. So let's go through the goals. The first goal, Justin Kluivert opens the scoreline with a lethal finish from outside of the box. Ouattara gets his first goal of the game as he produces a fantastic leap over centre-back Murillo, and that's not an easy thing to do. He manages to head the ball into the corner to make it 2-0. Ouattara then scores his second goal with a nice left-footed finish into the bottom corner to make it 3-0. A rare mistake from Matt Sales leads to Ouattara scoring from a rebound and claiming his hat-trick, and Semenyo scores the fifth goal for the Cherries with a clean finish into the bottom corner. Again, what a result for Bournemouth. They have simply been relentless this season, and the Vitality Stadium has become a fortress. Now, as a Liverpool fan, I'm a little bit concerned as we face Bournemouth this weekend. So expect a goal fest of some sort. In terms of the league table, Bournemouth remain in 7th place. But at the same time, they're on the same points tally as Chelsea and only a point away from 4th, which Man City are currently occupying. And speaking of Man City and Chelsea, these two teams faced each other over the weekend as the citizens managed to claim a 3-1 victory. City gave debuts to new signings Kusanov and Mamouche. Unfortunately for Kusanov, he was at fault for the first goal. He tried to head it back to the keeper, but unfortunately fell short. Jackson capitalized and got the ball towards Manueke, who slots it from close range to make it 1-0. Then moments later, Chelsea produced a great counter-attack to split the City defence, but Palmer's ball towards Jackson had slightly too much pace, and by then, the defenders had gathered pace and made the crucial block to Jadon Sancho's shot. But Chelsea managed to get the equaliser just before half-time, as Gavardi goal, as I like to call him, manages to charge down the left-hand side, find himself around the 6-yard box, and in the end score to make it 1-1. City then got the second goal, and what a goal it was. Ederson with a pinpoint pass over to Haaland, who controls it on the outside of the box and hits a left-footed shot over the goalkeeper to make it 2-1. Haaland then became provider as he showed great hold-up play to lay it off to Foden, who drives with the ball, finds himself in a one-on-one position up against Sanchez. And let's be honest, there's only one winner in that situation. Foden manages to hit the back of the net and helps his team secure a huge win to climb up the table and move into 4th place. Next fixture, Tottenham versus Leicester City. What is going on with Tottenham Hotspurs? Honestly, this is relegation form that they're producing, as they've suffered a defeat to Leicester City, who have lost 7 games in a row prior to this fixture. So let's go through the goals in the game. Richarlison opens the scoreline with a diving header to give Spurs the lead, but it was the veteran Jamie Vardy who inspired his side to victory. He got his first goal, scoring from close range. Molineux then gets the second goal with a nice finish from the edge of the box, curled it into the bottom corner and made it look effortless. Spurs are now 15th in the league. That is such a crazy thing to say out loud. Look, I've said in the past that I like Ange Postecoglou, the way he presents himself, and I'm a fan of his attacking philosophy. But there comes a time where you've got to switch up the tactics or make some alterations so you're not conceding goals and, of course, losing games. But what makes the situation crazy for me is that about a week or so ago, he said that the club are united and something special is coming. That guy is deluded if that is what he believes. For me, this might sound harsh, but he's an Australian Brendan Rodgers. And I can say that out loud because I had Brendan Rodgers as manager for Liverpool. Tottenham have a decision to make in the coming days and weeks. Do they stick with him, or is it time to part ways and make a new managerial appointment, as the squad are simply not performing under his guidance? I understand they've suffered a lot of injuries, but his tactics have not changed one bit. Basic football knowledge: to set your team up, you have to base it on what you have in your disposal. If players aren't performing and too many players are being played out of position, you've got to try something else or try a different formation in order to find a solution. I know it's easier said than done, but things need to change and it needs to happen fast. So let me know in the comments what you think Tottenham should do. Should they stick with Ange or kick him to the curb? Now, on to other games. Fulham versus Manchester United. It looks like Adama Traore didn't get his revenge on the vegan butcher, who actually ended up being a match winner for Manchester United. The goal came in the 78th minute as Martinez takes a shot from outside of the box. He gets a wicked deflection that ends up looping over the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. So not the most convincing of victories, but let's be honest, United could not care less about how they perform or how they win games. As long as they can get some points on the tally, they are happy. So that win allows them to move up the table to 12th position. Now, on to the next fixture. Southampton versus Newcastle. Isak stole the show once again as he helped Newcastle win 3-1 against Southampton. But Southampton, like they have been done in recent weeks, scored the first goal, and it was Bednarek again who scores with a header. Newcastle respond as Isak was fouled in the box. The Swedish striker steps up and places it right in the bottom corner to make it 1-1. But then minutes later, Jacob Murphy, who by the way has been in great form in recent weeks, produces the perfect through ball with real zip towards Isak, and the gunman finishes with an ice cold finish post. And then all I can say from a Liverpool point of view, this is the only striker that we should be pursuing this summer. Shout out to Ozzie, who came on the channel last week and showed me the light in regards to Julian Alvarez being a possible target for Liverpool in the summer. But for me, Isak is the one. So John Henry, get your wallet out, please, fella. It's about time to spend some dollars. Newcastle then scored their third goal. Great play between Isak and Gordon to thread the ball towards Tonali. He's through on goal and clinically finishes the move to make it 3-1 and grab all 3 points to Tyneside. So Newcastle have now moved up to 5th in the table, which is such a great achievement for them, as they weren't performing too well mid-season, but they really switched it up in this turn of the year. On to the next fixture. Aston Villa versus West Ham. West Ham managed to claim a late equaliser to walk away with a point from Villa Park. Jacob Ramsey scores the opening goal with a nice left-footed finish, but it was left-back Emerson who grabbed the crucial equaliser with a header across goal. Good finish from the Italian international. Graham Potter remains undefeated in the Premier League as West Ham manager, for now anyway. On to the next fixture. Brighton versus Everton. Everton producing back-to-back wins, and it wasn't an easy one for the Toffees. The match winner came from Ndiaye, who scores from the penalty spot as Beto was fouled by Veltman in the box. Ndiaye steps up for the penalty kick and calmly slots it into the bottom corner. No pressure shown there from the Everton forward. A fiery end to the game as players got involved in a bit of a scuffle, but in the end, Everton walked away with all 3 points. The final fixture of Matchweek 23, and that is Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Now, Brentford managed to edge past Palace in this victory. The crew takes a swipe at Collins inside the box. Unfortunately, a penalty is awarded, and Bremo steps up, but he unfortunately hits the side of the post and misses the penalty altogether. But then he got a second chance, as there was a few Palace players inside the box as the penalty was taken. So Mbeumo steps up for the second time, but this time he places it in the other corner to make it 1-0. Shada gets the second goal for Brentford with a brave header, as he took one for the team and he got smashed on the side of his head by Chris Richards. Palace got a consolation goal, but it was a special moment as it was scored by Esse, who scored on his debut for Palace after recently signing for them from Millwall. So that is the end of our Matchweek 23 review. So what we'll do now is present our FPL Manager of the Week. So an interesting points tally from a lot of the FPL managers, but this manager stole the show, and that was Nasya Malang, and his team is called Koas Tokta, and he managed to gain 102 points. He was the only manager in the league that got over 100 points. So well done to Nasya. Great points tally. You moved up quite a bit in the league. In terms of my performance, I thought I had a great week until I saw Nasya's points tally there. I got a respectable 74 points, and I've actually climbed up to 33rd in the league. So I'm making some strides towards the top half of the table. And speaking of the table, it's time to review the top 10. Has there been any movement up top? Let's have a look and we can go through it together. So now in terms of the top of the table, I'll read out the top 10 for our listeners on podcast platforms. So in first position is Jordan Smith, and his team is called Don't Know. So he's moved up to the top. Ellie Clark has moved up to second. Tayo Aziz has moved up to third position. Chris Barnett has dropped to fourth. Vipin Mahan has dropped to fifth. Handy Abda has dropped to sixth. BT has moved up to seventh. Godwin has dropped to eighth. Davis Rich has moved up to ninth place. And Melissa Morris remains in 10th position. So that is the top 10. So big up all the FPL managers there. So before we close the show, let's review the upcoming fixtures, and I'll also provide my predictions. So first game is a midday kickoff between Forest and Brighton. Now, Forest just got thumped by Bournemouth in Matchweek 23. Are they able to shrug that off and produce another win or go back to winning ways? I'm not so sure. I think this match will end in a draw, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 result. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. I mentioned earlier on. Slightly concerned about this because Bournemouth have been in great form in recent weeks, and especially this weekend where they demolished Forest 5-0. But I'm still convinced that Liverpool have enough quality to get the win. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for the Reds. Everton versus Leicester City. Two teams fighting it out for Premier League survival at the bottom of the table. I'm going to go for a draw, and I think it will end 1-1. Ipswich Town versus Southampton, another two teams battling for survival. I'm going to give Ipswich Town the win there, so it's going to be a home win, and I believe the scoreline will be 2-1. Newcastle versus Fulham. Newcastle have been in fantastic form in recent weeks, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Toonami. Wolves versus Aston Villa. I'm going to go for a Villa win, and I think it will be a 2-1 result in that fixture. And then you've got Brentford versus Spurs. I think Spurs will continue their losing streak. I don't think they'll get the win here. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Brentford. Manchester United face Palace. Of course, Manchester United got the win over the weekend, but can they continue? I don't think they will. I think this match will end in a draw. It would be a 1-1 result. Arsenal versus Man City. Maybe fans probably thought this was going to be some sort of title decider, but that is not the case right now. Of course, Arsenal are challenging for top spot, but Man City are quite a few paces behind. I think this will end in a draw as well, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw for this fixture. And I was going to say final fixture. We've got two fixtures. So you've got Chelsea versus West Ham. I'm going to go for a win for Chelsea. It's going to be a 2-1 result. And this is the rescheduled fixture for the Merseyside Derby, which will take place on the 12th of February. So if you're an FPL manager, make sure you've got some Liverpool Everton players, as you can get double points. But in terms of this fixture, I'm going to go for a Liverpool win, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. So that is my Matchweek 24 predictions, and that is also the end of the show. Before we close, actually, I'm going to go through some of the comments here. Songs 4K, big up yourself. He says, Spurs didn't make a tackle in 20 minutes after halftime. What did Ange say? I don't think he said much, to be honest, because, yeah, it did not prove at all. Amrin spun 3 points from nothing. Yeah, he got lucky with that one. And then he made a funny comment afterwards where someone wished him happy birthday, and he said that he feels like he's 50 years old, even though he just turned 40. So shows you how stressful a job he's facing in his new role. Songs 4K says, nice technique from Isak. Yeah, he's got techers. Not even just penalties, even just the way he finishes. I'm a big fan. So hopefully we'll see me in Liverpool share next year. But that's me being hopeful or wishful more than anything else. And then Songs 4K, have a good evening. Big up yourself, Songs 4K, for tuning in. Appreciate your comments. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of content this week. Tomorrow I'll be doing a Champions League match preview of PSV versus Liverpool. Then on Wednesday I'll be doing the live watch along of that game plus a match reaction. Then on Thursday I'll be doing a match preview of Bournemouth versus Liverpool, and I'll be joined by a special guest. And on Saturday I'll be doing the watch along and match reaction for that fixture. So that is it for this evening, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.